Today we're going to discuss what happened to the GTA 5 main characters after the last time we saw them, where they could be today and whatnot. Let's start with Michael and his family. So after the chaos between him, Trevor, his family, and the feds ended, Michael was finally able to retire in peace, at least from the bank robbing life. We know that Michael, of course, released his first movie with Solomon Richards, Meltdown, and we haven't really gotten any updates on where he is or what he's doing these days. But we do know that as of winter of 2021, which at the time of this recording was about 3.5 years ago, Michael was still working at the movie studio, likely still in touch with Franklin, Lester, and possibly Trevor, with him at this point being around 57 years old. But what happened to Michael's family? Jimmy, well, we know is at this point, thanks to Lester, working at the GTA Online Characters Arcade, and it's also implied that before that he was working at a burger shop. He is still buying drugs at the local burger shop as of 2024, and we know once we enter the arcade that Jimmy is still working there, probably to this very day. And on a side note, this scene where Lester is all dressed up trying to impress his new girlfriend, I love how Jimmy starts messing with him, but then Lester says to Wendy to make him clean the toilets. But what about Tracy though? Well, we do know that she has that performance on Fame or Shame, but we also know that she goes to college, and while we don't know 100% where she is nowadays, we can speculate she probably finished college. I mean, if she ever did, but I do imagine her working some sort of office job or something. I think she chilled out a little bit. Cause yeah, that Fame or Shame performance makes people throw up just like Trevor did after eating whatever the hell this thing is. Moving on to Amanda, so we know just like the rest of Michael's family, her relationship with Michael has improved towards the end of the game's story. And while we know even less about her than Tracy, I imagine she's still with Michael and is probably happy that her husband is done with crime for good and is working in the movie business, of course, because she did seem kind of happy and proud during the hangouts after the game storyline that he is done with that life and that he now has a more legitimate job. Now, what about Franklin? So we saw Franklin last in 2021, and at the time, he already had 2 kids. He was married to Tanisha, of course, since they rekindled their relationship sometime between 2013 and 2021. And while we don't know shit about him post 2021, we can still see him at the agency to this very day, so there likely is nothing to suggest that he's still not living a nice life as a businessman, all while being a dad and husband. And I imagine he's not going to Michael for parenting advice. Now, to someone who I can't ever imagine having kids, Trevor. So we know that by 2017, Trevor was some sort of lifestyle coach or a guru in Vinewood, as Ron tells us in this scene. And also in 2021, he is not in Sandy Shores, as sadly with him, we don't have much info. But again, let's speculate. So Trevor would be around 58 today, so I kind of doubt that he would be a lifestyle coach still, but we do know that he is still just as insane as in 2021. He went into the agency that Franklin works at, where he threatened to shit on the security guard's desk if he doesn't call Franklin immediately. So while he is still just as insane considering that he's a lifestyle coach, it's possible that he has chilled out a little bit, and he's also likely still in contact with Michael and definitely Franklin. And while we probably won't see him again in GTA Online, dude, I would pay to see him as a lifestyle coach. I imagine that shit would be hilarious. Also, if you're enjoying this video right now, please do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, go down to the description and check out my second channel. That is where the Kingdom Hearts content is nowadays. But what about Lester? Now, over the years, Lester has gone from a total creep to a bit less of a creep, and he's done a lot of shit, from the Doomsday heist in 2017 to the Diamond Casino heist in 2019. Also, we know that by 2019, Lester has a girlfriend, which of course Jimmy messes with him for, but yeah, while we're not sure what he does these days, like I mentioned before, he is likely still in touch with Michael and Franklin. Franklin did actually say something along the lines, I just got off the phone with an old friend of mine who says that you and him robbed the Diamond Casino. So yeah, that's definitely Lester, so definitely those two are still in touch, but probably he's just enjoying retirement, and since it has been so long, I think it's possible that he even got married, and with more money than he could ever spend, I don't think that there is many possibilities than him just enjoying life for now. Maybe we'll see him in the future sometimes, who knows, although I can't really see him having kids. At least there's more of a possibility of him having kids than Trevor, right? But in 2024, we know that he sold a garment factory, which if you remember the Bureau raid in 2013 in story mode, that is when Lester burned the place, so I imagine sometime between 2021 and 2024, Lester restored it, possibly, and then sold it to the GTA Online protagonist. In 2024, he sends us an email that shows that he is still with with Georgina. Now let's move on to Lamar. So we know that Lamar and Franklin somewhat resolved their issues by the time the game story ends, and Lamar did help out back when the trio was at the foundry. We don't see him until winter of 2021 though, when he started his own weed business called LD Organics, and we of course see him with Franklin. They're still friends and whatnot. There's still that really entertaining banter between them that we're used to from 2013. Also, there's the funny scene of where Chop ate the sample of weed that Lamar gave to Franklin, and after Franklin and the GT Online protagonist do some work for Dr. Dre, DJ Pooh invites the protagonist, Franklin and Lamar, to Dr. Dre's studio. This all leads to these short trip missions, which are centered around Franklin helping Lamar with LD Organics, and at the end, Lamar, who was high out of his mind, decides to crash the van into a wall near Vinewood Boulevard as a publicity stunt, and it's likely that the popularity of LD Organics exploded, meaning that Lamar is also nowadays probably a successful businessman as well, but in a completely different way and field than Franklin, for example. And with that said, I want to thank you for watching this little bit of a video about my speculations about where the GTA 5 characters could be nowadays. Of course, leave your thoughts and opinions on this topic in the comments down below. Until next video stream, bye bye.